Welcome to the mobile part of the maintenance guide. Here you'll see how the operations are done. Please refer to the printed maintenance guide for data, diagrams, and checklists. The films do not replace the printed information. You'll see two types of environment. Some filming was done at our training facility to make it easier for you to see how things are done. Some was done at a real installation which was being overhauled. We believe you'll find the real environment the more interesting one. If you need anything or have comments on the maintenance guide, please get in touch with After Sales. The address is on the back of the maintenance guide and on the back of the videotape box. It's extremely important to do nothing on the tap changer until the installation has been disconnected, earthed, and short-circuited. An on-load tap changer could be called the gearbox of a transformer. Its job is to switch turns of a transformer's regulating winding in and out to give a uniform voltage on the outgoing line. The on-load tap changer can adjust the transformer without interrupting the power. In this maintenance guide, we'll be dealing with on-load tap changer UBB. It contains a rotating insert which switches between the different contacts. This part is called the motor drive mechanism. This is what controls the on-load tap changer. In this maintenance guide, we shall deal with two types, BUE and BUL. There's a vertical and a horizontal drive shaft connecting the motor drive mechanism to the tap changer. The shaft system includes two bevel gears. For a more detailed description of parts and names of parts, see the schematic diagrams in the maintenance guide. Study it in peace and quiet. Get to know the names and positions of the parts. Here we'll show you how to assemble certain tools specially designed for the purpose. Removing the mechanism of the on-load tap changer is easier if you use a ratchet handle, a 250mm extension, and a 6mm hexagon socket head. The lifting and turning tool is used when lifting the tap changer insert and to rotate the insert to the correct position for removal. The screwing tool is used when installing and removing fixed contacts. A torque wrench capable of tightening to 12 Newton meters must be included. This is how to assemble the tool. This is the contact tool which is used when installing and removing fixed contacts and as a guide when reinstalling the tap changer insert. This is how to assemble it to use it as a contact tool. The same tool is used as a guide for the tap changer insert. If you're working with a tap changer which has a letter T as the last letter of its type designation, you'll need the entire length of the tool. This refers to a fully insulated on-load tap changer. If you're working with a tap changer with N as the last letter of its type designation, which is a neutral point version, leave out the short part of the tool. If you don't have any other means of lifting the insert, we recommend a lifting rig. It's important to be able to work with control and precision. When working with an overhead crane, it's easy to damage the contacts if the parts are not all correctly positioned. You'll need this set of selector contacts for an overhaul, or if you expect contacts to need changing. New O-rings must be fitted every time the tap changer is opened. Before starting work, note the position of the motor drive mechanism. Set the tap changer to the service position as indicated by the plate on the door of the motor drive mechanism and open the motor circuit breaker. The first step is to drain the oil. First, close the valve in the pipe to the conservator, expansion vessel. Make sure you're prepared to collect oil spilt as you work. Open a suitable pipe to drain the oil. Later models have a drain valve in the middle of the cover. Connect a hose and remove the dryer unit on the conservator. Open the valve in the pipe to the conservator. Pump out the oil. We also recommend flushing out the conservator and the tap changer, following the instructions in the maintenance guide. You'll have to remove more oil when the cover has been removed. We'll show you how to do this later. The oil must be filtered. The dielectric strength after filtering must be at least 40 kilovolts with a 2.5 millimeter gap as specified in IEC 156. Here you can see a sample being taken. Now we'll remove the tap changer cover. Close the valve to the conservator, disconnect the connection and other pipe connections to the cover. Slacken the hose clips that hold the protective tube on the bevel gears and push it together. Unscrew the cover screws. It's a good idea to empty all your pockets so that nothing falls into the tap changer when the cover is off. You should put every item you remove well away from the tap changer, preferably in jars or boxes. Lift the cover straight up 10 centimeters before moving it sideways. Hold the shaft at the same time so that it does not fall down into the tap changer. Make sure that the sealing surface on the cover is not damaged while the cover is off. Clean up any oil while working so that no one slips. Cleanliness is essential for personal safety and for keeping all the parts in order. You now drain the rest of the oil by passing the tube down to the bottom of the switch cylinder and drawing it off by suction. To remove the mechanism, slacken the 4 M8 Allen screws at the corners of the bearing plate. If the plate is stuck in place, this is what you do. Using 2 Allen screws, push the plate up from the upper part of the selector. Fit the screws in the threaded holes under the clearance holes in the bearing plate. When you tighten the screws, the plate is pushed upwards. Remove the screws when the bearing plate has been taken off. Note that the rubber seal in the central pipe is loose and may come off. Before removing contact blades, adjust the tool. The maintenance guide explains which contact blades to remove and how many of them. Before adjusting the contact holders of the holding tool, you must consult the maintenance to find out which pitch applies to your tap changer. Refer to section 363. Attach the holding tool to the contact blade of the first phase. Unscrew the two M6 screws with the screwing tool. We recommend unscrewing the screws alternately. Unscrew the first screw 5 turns, then unscrew the second screw fully by 12 turns, and finally unscrew the first screw fully by a further 8 turns. The screws are captive in the contact holder, so there's no risk of them falling out of the tool. Do the same with the two blades in the two lower phases. Before lifting, mark the changeover selector drive roller and the position of the fine selector contacts against the outer edge so that you can refit them in the correct position. Attach the lifting and operating tool in the two M8 holes at the upper end of the selector switch. Grasp the outer arm of the tool and turn until the roller on the changeover selector enters the slot in the tool arm. Turn the tool until the moving contacts of the selector switch reach the position of the fixed contacts that you removed. Using the arm, turn the moving contacts of the changeover selector until they're between two fixed long contact blades. The moving assembly weighs about 30 kilos. Use a block and tackle to lift it. When lifting the moving part of the tap changer, keep it still, otherwise it may stick. If it sticks, don't try to force it. Back off a bit, look down, and adjust so that all parts are free. Lift carefully until all parts are out of the cylinder. If you want to lower the selector switch to the floor, rest it on something soft. Clean the inside of the selector switch shaft with a brush. Move the brush up and down, turning it at the same time. Flush out the cylinder using a brush if necessary. Use lint-free cloths to collect up any remaining oil. For measurement of moving and fixed contacts, see the maintenance guide where the dimensions are given and the method is described. To check transition resistors, connect one ohm meter lead to a resistance contact and the other lead to the main contact in a phase. Measure the resistance. Repeat with the other resistance contact and then proceed to the other phases. You can tell whether the resistors are undamaged by comparing the resistance readings. The resistance value for tap changers with CE marking is stated on the rating plate. The readings must not differ by more than 10%. Check that screws, bolts, etc. of contacts, resistors, and other parts have not worked loose. Before starting to lower the selector switch, check that there is nothing left behind in the selector switch cylinder. Before lowering, position the moving contacts and the current collectors in the gaps where the fixed contact blades were removed. The moving contacts of the changeover selector must be positioned between two long fixed contacts. Carefully feed the control rod down into the central hole. Carefully lower the selector switch until the current collectors are just above their current collector contacts. Use the screwing tool to make any necessary adjustments. Carefully lower the selector switch the rest of the way, checking that the bottom part fits into its bearing. Check that all the current collectors have fitted into their knobs. Some gentle persuasion may be needed. Using the outer arms of the operating tool, turn the moving contacts to the position of their respective fixed contacts. Using the same tool, turn the selector switch so that its moving contacts meet the fixed contacts in the maintenance position. Check that the positions of the selector switch and the changeover selector are the same as those you marked before removal. Now, we're in the studio again. You're now going to use the contact tool and the screwing tool. This may look trickier than it is in reality. The screws are guided into the threads by countersunk holes. The tightening torque is 12 Newton meters. Use a torque wrench to be sure that the torque is correct.